Thanks, Sarah. May I also start by acknowledging the traditional owners on the land on which we gather, the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation, and pay my respects to their elders, both past and present. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I greet you with the Islamic greeting of Assalamu alaikum, which means peace be upon you, and Ramadan Mubarak to all of you. I'd like to thank you all for participating in the annual AIS event. Without your support and presence, this dinner would have no significance. I'd also like to acknowledge and thank our co-host, the Minister for Multicultural Affairs and Finance, the Honourable Robin Scott, who, as mentioned, has had to leave due to a prior engagement, and Ms. Inga Pavlich, obviously, the Shadow Minister for Multicultural Affairs and Scrutiny for Government. We really appreciate your ongoing support, and we thank what you do each and every day in our state parliament to keep our democracy going and thriving, actually, because the world definitely needs a working model, and it's great to see that a country such as Australia celebrates it and is able to have a working model for others to follow and emulate. I'd also like to acknowledge our keynote speaker tonight, Mr. Ed Santow from the Australian Human Rights Commission, and thank him for travelling to the best city in Australia, Melbourne, and we look forward to his presentation shortly. Tonight we also have with us the former Victoria Governors, Professor David de Kretzer and his lovely wife Jan, thank you for your coming, and Sir James Gobbo, thank you very much for your attendance tonight. I'd also like to acknowledge the President of the Legislative Council, the Honourable Bruce Atkinson, MLC, and all our parliamentarians across the political spectrum. As mentioned, some of our federal parliamentarians, the Honourable Mark Dreyfus, Mr. Peter Khalil, Mr. Adam Ban, thank you very much for your participation. And across the state, I'll just read out those who RSVP'd. Frank Maguire, Craig Ondarchi, Khalil Ida, Nazi Al-Asma, Margaret Fitzherbert, Nina Springle, Graham Watt, Richard Reardon, Fiona Patton and Simon Ramsey, thank you all for your ongoing support. To the members of the judiciary, welcome you, including all barristers and legal practitioners, particularly Justice Tate, who's representing the Chief Justice of Victoria. Thank you for coming. To the many representatives from the Consular Corps, public service, media and academia, sports, NGOs, arts, entertainment, business, community and religious groups, welcome one and all. A special mention to the following organisations due to the importance of the role that they undertake each and every day. Unfortunately, our Victoria Police Commissioner, Graham Ashton, wasn't able to be here, but we welcomed Assistant Commissioner Steve Fontana representing him. Also, the Acting Commander of the AFP Victoria, Mr. Martin Good, our VMC Chair, Helen Kapelos, and all the representatives from each of these organisations. Welcome one and all, and we value and we commend the work that you do on each and every day. I'd also like to thank our sponsors, Cricket Australia, AFP, NAB, SBS, Fountain Bookshop and Salimia Foundation. Thank you for your contribution as well. Well, the last 12 months has been an interesting and at times challenging period for the AIS. And on behalf of the AIS Executive Team, I'd like to formally thank and acknowledge the guidance offered to us by our Advisory Board. Your support and encouragement allows us to walk tall on the path we've set out upon from day one. The Victoria Parliament Iftar dinner is one of the most important special dinners in the whole month of Ramadan for us. It is a good reminder of how far we have come throughout the years, as AIS held its very first annual Iftar dinner in 2001, and tonight is the 17th. It is the 17th, but it's our 12th Victoria Parliament Iftar dinner, so we rebranded it several years after we commenced it. And it's great to see that Ramadan has made a permanent mark in the social calendar. Now we have many Muslim and non-Muslim organisations hosting iftar programs in Melbourne and throughout Australia. Just in AIS, we are hosting or co-hosting some 34 iftar dinners. 30 of them are home iftar dinners in a 30-day calendar. So if anyone is interested in a home iftar dinner, come and see me afterwards. We'll try to assign a home for you. And Ramadan is actually a time of thanksgiving, a time for devotion, a time for spiritual nourishment and sharing. A time when we gather around a dinner table and share not only food, but also share common values and friendship. The Muslim community opens its homes to the wider society in Ramadan. To reciprocate, the people of Victoria open their house, the Parliament, to the diversely rich audience here tonight. And this mutual welcoming and acceptance goes a long way in showing our oneness in society. We Muslims are your neighbour, your colleague, your friend, and we share the future of this country with you. In an era where conflict seems to dominate the news headlines, the silent majority are continually working to remove prejudice, racism and bigotry, and sowing the seeds of peace compassion and respect. This is the path the AIS has taken. We believe the best way to respond to local and international incidents is by positive action, through dialogue, leading to understanding and acceptance underpinned by mutual respect. We unfortunately have some challenges facing our world today. It was only a fortnight ago that we woke to the tragedy of Manchester. Just when we thought things were returning to normal in the UK, we witnessed another episode of terror, this time in London. Over the course of the week, we also heard about the bombings in Afghanistan and Syria. These are just the ones we hear about due to it being covered in the news. Then there are other civilian losses we don't even hear about. Every life is precious, irrespective of where on earth that life is. So when we hear a life has been taken, it impacts us irrespective if the person was in the UK, Afghanistan, Iraq, Syria, Egypt, Philippines, Australia, or anywhere else for that matter. One of the AIS volunteers, Layla Al-Sabari, brought the Baghdad bombing closer to home. Layla, a university student, was meant to be here tonight, but she's mourning the death of her 12-year-old cousin, Zainab. Zainab was a student from Sirius College, who we have representatives here tonight as well. Unfortunately, lost her life due to an incident of terror. We Muslims are also targets of terror and are naturally concerned about our security, whether it be here in Australia or other places, because terror targets individuals indiscriminately and has no religion, irrespective of the culprits. Being vigilant and seeking ways to come closer together is what we must continually do. We need to grow the core of society, increase the number of good-willed people, and help find a path for those who are seeking assistance in removing obstacles that are deterring them from being a part of this mainstream. However, the challenge is there for the Muslim community. We Muslims need to work much harder in building bridges between hearts and keep the dialogue going. We also need to navigate through this turbulent era by placing a mirror to ourselves so we could face up to the reality of where we are and where we ought to be. Although Muslim communities are at different stages of their journey, we need to move forward to a state where we continually uphold human rights, consistently advocate for the rule of law, incessantly promote equality, not only between the sexes, which should be a given, but in allowing everyone to have their place in society. We also need to embed a culture of respect for difference for ideals, difference of faith, irrespective of, and difference of ethnicity, and promote healthy debates, however uncomfortable the subject matter may be. Upon reflection, I believe this recommendation for Muslim community will work best if everyone in society can also play an active role in that equation. This can be done by shutting down divisive discourse, irrespective of which corner of society it comes from, to rebuke it and respond with positive action. This is the approach of the AIS. Along with our partners, we'll strive to grow mainstream society through efforts embellished with compassion, love, and respect, amongst other qualities. We know that people of goodwill will always unite for a common cause. They will rally to uphold the common values that bind us all together. The future well-being of our society is up to those of us in this room and beyond to promote the values of mutual respect, understanding, and acceptance, so that our children would be handed a world where they see hope and a platform to advance humanity. Let's rise to the challenge and, importantly, inspire people outside of this room to keep an open mind, be forever respectful and embracing of diversity, and strive to make this country that much better. Once again, I thank you for your attendance and your ongoing support, and wish that this holy night will open doors of mercy upon us all. I also pay tribute again to our sponsors for their support, the Cricket Australia, AFP NAB, SBS Fountain Bookshop, and Selimia Foundation. And I thank you all again for joining us here tonight, and I greet you with the deepest respect. Ramadan Mubarak to all of you. Thank you.